If you're seeing this message on October 20th, stop everything. Close the tabs, silence the notifications, put down whatever you're holding and listen, because this isn't random. This isn't the algorithm. This isn't luck. This is a divine appointment, and you're exactly on time. Something extraordinary is happening in the unseen realm right now. Something so sacred, so precise, so powerful, that it requires your complete and total silence. Not as punishment, not as isolation, but as participation in a cosmic recalibration that only happens once in a very long cycle. You've been moving, striving, speaking, explaining, defending, proving, and performing for so long. You've been showing up, sharing your journey, broadcasting your process, documenting your transformation, and all of that had its season. All of that served its purpose. But that season just ended. The universe is issuing a command that very few will hear, and even fewer will obey. Go silent. Now. Immediately. Without explanation, without announcement, without fanfare. This isn't a social media detox. This isn't a digital cleanse. This isn't a wellness trend. This is a spiritual directive, a divine instruction, a cosmic requirement for what's about to unfold in your life over the next phase of your journey. Here's what you need to understand. October 20th marks the beginning of an invisible transition. The energy that's been building since the last portal has reached a critical threshold. The frequency that's been preparing you has completed its work. The foundation that's been forming beneath the surface is now solid enough to build upon. But the next phase, the phase you're entering right now, cannot happen in public. It cannot happen while you're still explaining yourself to people who don't have the consciousness to understand. It cannot happen while you're still performing your spirituality for an audience that can't see past the surface. What's coming for you is so sacred that it requires concealment. What's being prepared for you is so powerful that it demands protection. What's about to be revealed to you is so precise that it needs silence to fully form. The moment you go silent, the moment you stop broadcasting, the moment you remove yourself from the noise and the opinions and the constant need to be seen, that's the moment heaven can move without interference. That's the moment your destiny can shift into place without the distortion of external energy. That's the moment your soul can hear the instructions that have been trying to reach you through all the chaos. October 20th is not just a date, it's a marker, a threshold, a point of no return. And if this message found you today, it's because you're being called into the silence. You're being summoned into the sacred space between who you were and who you're becoming. You're being invited into a secret season where the real transformation happens, the kind that can't be posted, can't be shared, can't be explained until it's already complete. Go silent now, not tomorrow, not after you finish this one thing, not after you make this one announcement. Now. And let me tell you exactly why this silence is the most important thing you'll do this year. There are seasons in the spiritual journey that happen in full view, times when your growth is visible, your lessons are shareable, your breakthroughs are meant to be celebrated publicly. Those seasons teach you in the light. They refine you in community. They transform you where others can witness. But then there are seasons, rarer, deeper, more powerful, that happen in complete concealment. Hidden seasons, secret seasons, seasons when heaven moves you into the back room while the real work happens. October 20th marks the beginning of one of those seasons for you. And the first requirement of a secret season is silence. Not because what's happening isn't important, but because it's so important that it cannot be exposed before it's ready. Think about how creation works. Seeds germinate underground, in darkness, in silence. Babies form in the hidden sanctuary of the womb, concealed from the world until they're fully developed. Diamonds form under pressure in the depths of the earth, invisible for millennia before they're brought to the surface. The same principle applies to your next level. What's forming in you right now? What's being downloaded into your consciousness? What's being constructed in your spiritual DNA? It's too fragile to be exposed. It's too sacred to be scrutinized. It's too powerful to be diluted by the opinions of people who aren't equipped to understand it. When you go silent, you create a protective chamber around your transformation. You remove yourself from the energy of doubt, comparison, premature celebration, and jealous observation. You stop giving people access to your process before you've fully integrated it yourself. This isn't about being secretive or mysterious for the sake of image. This is about honoring the sacred nature of what's happening in your inner world. This is about protecting your frequency from contamination. This is about giving heaven the space to work without the interference of human noise. During this season of secret preparation, you're being recoded, rewired, rebuilt from the inside out. Old programming is being deleted. New downloads are being installed. Your entire operating system is being upgraded to match the frequency of your next chapter. But upgrades require downtime. Recalibration requires stillness. Transformation requires withdrawal from normal operations. You can't install new software while you're still running all the old programs. You can't receive the new frequency while you're still broadcasting the old one. Go silent so heaven can work uninterrupted. Go silent so your soul can integrate without distraction. Go silent so your spirit can hear the instructions that only come in whispers, never in shouts. This season won't last forever. There will come a time when you emerge, when you speak again, when you share what was formed in the silence. But that time is not now. Right now, your only job is to disappear into the secret place and let God finish what He started. Here's something most chosen ones don't realize until it's too late. Your words during a transition period can lock you into a reality that's already trying to dissolve. Every time you speak about who you are, what you're doing, where you're going, you're creating an energetic contract with that statement. You're coding it into the field. You're making it real. And that's powerful when you're speaking from clarity, from completion, from your fully realized truth. But right now, you're not in that space. You're in between. You're in the liminal zone. You're in the gap between identities, between timelines, between versions of yourself. If you keep speaking during this transition, you're going to speak from the old version while the new one is trying to emerge. You're going to describe yourself using language that no longer fits. You're going to define your reality based on what was, not what's becoming. And every time you do that, you create interference. You generate resistance. You slow down the very transformation you've been praying for. Words are spells. Statements are commands. Declarations shape reality. And during this particular window, during this sacred pause that October 20th has opened, your words are creating prematurely. They're trying to define something that's not ready to be defined. They're trying to name something that's still forming. They're trying to explain something that hasn't finished revealing itself. Silence protects the becoming. Silence creates space for the metamorphosis to complete itself without you narrating every stage, analyzing every symptom, or broadcasting every uncomfortable moment of the process. You don't need to announce your silence. You don't need to post about going quiet. You don't need to explain why you're withdrawing. Just stop. Just disappear. Just let your absence speak for itself. The people who need to reach you will reach you. The opportunities that are meant for you will find you. The connections that are divinely ordained will form naturally. You don't need to be constantly available, constantly visible, constantly broadcasting to stay relevant in your destiny. In fact, your constant availability has been blocking your destiny. Your constant visibility has been preventing certain blessings from manifesting. Your constant need to speak has been drowning out the voice of heaven, trying to give you new instructions. Go silent so you stop creating from the old blueprint. Go silent so the new blueprint has space to download completely. Go silent so your words, when you finally do speak again, will be creating from the fully formed future, not from the dissolving past. October 20th marks the beginning of what I call the test of disappearance. It's one of the final tests before a major elevation, and most chosen ones fail it because they don't understand what's being measured. The test is simple. Can you disappear without panic? Can you withdraw from visibility without feeling like you're losing relevance? Can you go silent without the fear that people will forget you, opportunities will pass you by, or your purpose will somehow evaporate in your absence? This test reveals whether you're truly rooted in divine identity or still dependent on human validation. It shows whether your confidence comes from internal knowing or external recognition. It exposes whether you trust the process or whether you trust the performance. Most people can't pass this test. The moment they withdraw, anxiety floods in. What if people think I quit? What if I miss something important? What if someone else takes my place? What if my momentum dies? What if I'm forgotten? All of those fears are the ego's death rattle, because going silent means the ego can't feed on attention, validation, likes, comments, or the constant confirmation that you exist, that you matter, that you're seen. But your soul doesn't need any of that. Your soul knows that disappearing from human sight doesn't mean you've disappeared from divine vision. Your soul understands that withdrawal from public view often precedes promotion to higher purpose. Your soul trusts that what's meant for you cannot be taken by someone else, cannot be lost in your absence, cannot evaporate just because you stopped announcing it. The test of disappearance is asking, do you believe your worth is inherent or earned? Do you trust that your value exists independent of anyone's acknowledgement? Can you remain certain of your calling, even when no one is applauding it? If you can go silent on October 20th, without announcement, without explanation, without the need to make your silence itself into content, you pass the test. You demonstrate that you've graduated from the need for external validation. You prove that you're ready for the kind of blessings that don't need witnesses, the kind of power that doesn't need publicity, the kind of purpose that doesn't need applause. This test is also revealing who's with you for the performance versus who's with you for the person. The ones who stay connected during your silence, who respect your withdrawal, who don't need constant updates to maintain the relationship. Those are your real ones. Those are the people who will walk with you into the next season. The ones who get offended by your silence, who interpret your withdrawal as rejection, who can't respect boundaries they didn't get a full explanation for. They were never meant for this next phase. And that's okay. Everyone doesn't get access to every season of your life. Disappear without fear. Withdraw without guilt. Go silent without apology. And watch what happens when you stop trying to hold everything together through your constant presence and let heaven hold it together through your strategic absence. Do you have any idea how much energy you've been hemorrhaging through constant communication, through explaining yourself, defending your choices, managing other people's perceptions, maintaining relationships that have run their course, and staying visible in spaces that no longer align with your frequency? Every conversation you don't need to have is energy leaked. Every post you make from obligation, rather than inspiration, is power drained. Every time you speak, when silence would serve you better, you're giving away the very energy you need for your transformation. October 20th is the universe handing you an opportunity to reclaim all of that lost energy, to pull back every ounce of power you've scattered across people, platforms, and performances that aren't serving your highest evolution. Going silent is an act of energetic sovereignty. It's you saying, I'm no longer available to everyone. I'm no longer explaining myself to everyone. I'm no longer maintaining access for everyone. My energy is sacred, and I'm taking it back. When you stop talking, stop posting, stop engaging, all of that energy that was flowing outward suddenly reverses. It comes back to you. It concentrates within you. It becomes available for the internal work that actually creates lasting transformation. You'll notice something profound happening within days of going silent. Your mind will become clearer. Your intuition will become sharper. Your body will feel more energized. Your emotions will stabilize. Your creativity will surge. Your spiritual sensitivity will heighten. This isn't magic. This is basic energetic mathematics. When you stop leaking power through unnecessary communication, that power accumulates, it builds, it intensifies, and it becomes available for the quantum leap that's being prepared for you. The reclamation isn't just about pulling back your energy from external sources. It's also about stopping the internal drain, the constant mental chatter, the overthinking, the rehearsing of conversations, the imaginary arguments, the endless planning and analyzing and trying to figure everything out through your limited human intellect. Silence the external, and the internal goes quiet too. Still, the voice and the mind settles. Stop broadcasting, and you finally have the bandwidth to receive. You're not going silent to punish yourself or isolate yourself. You're going silent to gather yourself, to collect the fragments of your consciousness that have been scattered across 1,000 different distractions, to consolidate your power into a concentrated force that can actually move mountains instead of being dissipated across sand. This is your energy. It belongs to you. And starting October 20th, you're taking it back. All of it. Every conversation that drained you, every relationship that depleted you, every obligation that exhausted you. You're withdrawing your energy from all of it and bringing it home to yourself. The reclamation is the preparation. And you can't prepare properly while you're still giving everything away. There's another dimension to this silence that's even more profound than energy reclamation or ego death. It's this. Heaven is speaking to you right now in frequencies you can't hear yet. Not because you're not spiritual enough, not because you're not open enough, but because the noise of your life is drowning out the signal. Think about trying to hear a whisper in a nightclub. The whisper is real. The words are being spoken, but the volume of everything else makes it impossible to receive the message. That's what's been happening in your spiritual life. The divine has been speaking, but you've been too loud, externally and internally, to hear it. October 20th is when the whisper becomes a command. Be still and know. Stop speaking and start listening. Cease the endless output and make room for input. What heaven needs to tell you right now cannot be conveyed through words. It can't be explained through concepts. It can't be understood through your current framework of reality. It's being transmitted in pure frequency, light codes, energy patterns, quantum information that bypasses your rational mind and goes straight into your cellular memory. But you can only receive these frequencies in silence, deep, sustained, disciplined silence. Not the silence of a 5-minute meditation between meetings, not the silence of a Sunday morning before the chaos of the week begins. The silence of days, of weeks, of however long it takes for your system to attune to the new bandwidth. This is why mystics throughout history have gone into the wilderness, into the desert, into the cave, into the monastery, not to escape life, but to hear God, not to avoid responsibility, but to receive instruction that would make them more effective in their purpose, not less. You're being called into that same sacred solitude. Not physically necessarily. You don't have to move to a mountain, but energetically, spiritually, consciously. You're being called to create a wilderness within yourself by removing the noise, the opinions, the constant input and output that keeps you trapped in surface-level existence. In the silence, you'll start receiving downloads that make no sense to your logical mind, but perfect sense to your soul. You'll have insights that seem to come from nowhere, but are actually coming from the deepest part of your consciousness, connecting with divine consciousness. You'll know things you have no business knowing, understand things you never studied, see things that haven't happened yet, but are already real in the quantum field. This is the realm you can only access through silence, and it's the realm where your next-level instructions are being broadcast. Not later, not eventually, right now. But you'll miss every single transmission if you don't go quiet enough to tune in. Heaven isn't waiting for you to get ready. Heaven is ready now. The question is, are you silent enough to receive what's already being sent? Here's what nobody tells you about transformation. The old you has to die before the new you can fully emerge. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, really die. And death requires silence, stillness, solitude, and surrender. October 20th marks the beginning of that death process for many chosen ones. The identity you've been carrying, the one built on your past experiences, your survival strategies, your wounds, your limited understanding of who you are, it's dissolving. It has to. Because where you're going, that version of you cannot follow. But death is uncomfortable. Death is disorienting. Death feels like loss, even when it's liberation. And the temptation during death is to talk your way out of it, to explain it away, to seek reassurance from others that you're going to be okay, that you're not losing your mind, that this terrible emptiness is temporary. That's exactly what you cannot do. The moment you start speaking during the death process, you resurrect the old identity before it's fully released. You give it mouth to mouth. You pull it back from the edge of extinction. And then you have to go through the whole process again. Going silent during this time is how you let the old identity die completely. You stop introducing yourself by your old story. You stop defining yourself by your past roles. You stop explaining who you are to people who only know the old you. In the silence, you become unrecognizable, first to others, then to yourself. And that unrecognizability is not a crisis. It's a cocoon. It's the sacred space where the transformation that cannot be photographed, cannot be posted, cannot be put into words, is actually happening. You might feel like you're losing yourself. You might feel blank, empty, like all the things that used to define you have evaporated. You might not recognize your own thoughts, your own desires, your own voice. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. The emptiness is not the end. It's the in-between. It's the void, where the old has dissolved, but the new hasn't fully formed yet. And you have to be able to sit in that void without panicking, without reaching for the old familiar identity just to feel like somebody again. Silence protects the void. Silence honors the death. Silence creates the conditions for resurrection. But you have to actually die first. And you can't die while you're still talking, still explaining, still trying to maintain the version of yourself that needs to end. Let October 20th be the day you stop resuscitating who you used to be. Let this be the moment you finally allow the old identity to complete its death so the new one can be born without interference. The silence is the funeral and the womb simultaneously. Honor it. Here's the paradox that will blow your mind. You're going silent now so you can emerge with unprecedented visibility later. You're withdrawing from the spotlight now so you can step into a much bigger spotlight later. You're disappearing from human view now so you can appear in divine positioning later. This isn't a permanent withdrawal. This isn't you giving up or checking out or abandoning your calling. This is strategic retreat before massive advance. This is the pulling back before the launch. This is the silence before the roar. But here's what you need to understand. The level of visibility that's being prepared for you cannot happen while you're still operating at this level. The platform you're being positioned for won't activate while you're still scattered across smaller platforms. The audience you're meant to serve can't find you while you're still performing for the wrong crowd. Going silent is how you clear the stage. You exit the small venues so you can enter the arena. You step off the minor platforms so you can be placed on the major one. You disappear from the spaces that have been keeping you small so you can emerge in the space that matches your actual assignment. During this season of silence, heaven is building something you can't see, arranging connections you don't know about, preparing opportunities that haven't been announced yet, positioning you for appointments that aren't on any calendar you have access to. But all of that divine coordination happens behind the scenes. It happens in the unseen realm. It happens while you're quiet, while you're trusting, while you're not trying to make it happen through your own hustle and networking and self-promotion. When you finally do emerge, and you will emerge, people are going to wonder where you came from. They're going to be shocked by the level you're operating at. They're going to ask how you got there, what strategy you used, what steps you followed, and the answer will be, I went silent. I disappeared from everywhere that wasn't my assignment. I stopped explaining myself and started becoming myself. I withdrew from the noise and went deep with God. And when I came back out, nothing about my life looked the same. This is the pattern throughout Scripture and history. Moses disappeared into the mountain and came down with the law. Elijah disappeared into the wilderness and emerged with fire. Jesus disappeared into the desert and emerged with power. Paul disappeared into Arabia and emerged with revelation. The pattern is always the same. Disappear, be transformed, emerge unrecognizable and unstoppable. Your silence is not the end of your ministry. It's the preparation for your ministry to multiply exponentially. Your withdrawal is not the death of your influence. It's the death of influence that was too small for what you're meant to carry. Go silent now so you can speak with authority later. Disappear now so you can appear in the right place later. Die to visibility now so you can rise to visibility that's actually connected to your destiny. Let me be clear about something that might be uncomfortable but needs to be said. This isn't a suggestion. This isn't a recommendation. This isn't spiritual advice you can take or leave based on how you feel about it. If this message reached you on October 20th, the command to go silent is not optional. It's a divine directive. It's an order from the realm of spirit, and you can either obey it and experience acceleration or resist it and experience the consequences of spiritual disobedience. Now, before your ego bristles at the word obedience, understand this. Spiritual obedience isn't about control or domination. It's about alignment. It's about synchronizing your will with divine will. It's about getting your limited human perspective out of the way so infinite wisdom can direct your path. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what's being prepared. You don't know what needs to happen in the unseen realm for your next chapter to manifest in the seen realm. But heaven knows, and heaven is telling you, be quiet, right now, without negotiation. This isn't about earning approval or proving you're spiritual enough. This is about survival at the level you're trying to operate. The frequency you're moving into will literally destroy you if you try to enter it while still carrying the noise, the chaos, the scattered energy of your current lifestyle. Going silent is protection. It's not punishment. It's not God being mean or demanding. It's the universe shielding you from spiritual electrocution. It's creation ensuring you can handle what's coming by making you go through the preparation process first. You can resist. You can ignore this message. You can decide it doesn't apply to you. But if you do, pay attention to what happens over the next few weeks. Pay attention to the increasing sense of chaos, the mounting confusion, the feeling that nothing is working even though you're doing all the right things. That's what resistance to divine timing feels like. That's what happens when you try to stay in a season that's already ended. That's the friction of fighting against the current instead of flowing with it. Or you can surrender, you can trust, you can obey, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You can say, I don't fully understand this, but I trust that the one who called me knows better than I do. I'll go silent. I'll be still. I'll wait in the secret place until I'm released to speak again. That surrender, that trust, that willingness to obey, even when it doesn't make complete sense, that's what opens the floodgates. That's what releases the blessings that have been held back. That's what gives heaven permission to move in your life with power that defies logic. The command is clear. Go silent, now, completely, without announcement or explanation. For as long as it takes, the question is, will you obey? Outro. The sacred silence begins now. So here we are. The message has been delivered, the instruction has been given, the command has been issued. And if you're reading this on October 20th, you're exactly on time to receive it. Everything in you might be screaming right now. Your ego is panicking. Your fears are flaring. Your mind is generating 1,000 reasons why you can't possibly go silent right now, why this isn't the right time, why you need to just finish this one thing first. Ignore all of it. The truth is, it will never feel like the right time. There will always be one more thing to say, one more person to update, one more post to make, one more conversation to have. But if you wait for the perfect moment to go silent, you'll never go silent, and you'll never experience what's waiting for you on the other side of this sacred stillness. Starting now, not later today, not tomorrow, not after you announce it. Starting right now, go silent. Close the apps. Mute the notifications. Step back from the conversations. Withdraw from the spaces that demand your constant presence. Disappear into the secret place with God and don't emerge until you're released. How will you know when you're released? You'll know. It won't be a guess. It won't be you getting bored with silence and deciding it's time to speak again. It will be a clear, unmistakable knowing that rises from your spirit and says, now, now you can speak. Now you can emerge. Now you can share what was formed in the silence. Until that moment comes, stay quiet, stay hidden, stay in the consecrated space where transformation happens beyond the reach of human opinion, beyond the distraction of public performance, beyond the interference of external noise. This season of silence is your gift, not your punishment. It's your promotion, not your demotion. It's your preparation, not your abandonment. And on the other side of it, you'll emerge as someone even you don't recognize yet, someone more aligned, more powerful, more clear, more whole, more ready for the assignment that's been waiting for the real you to finally show up. Chosen One, October 20th, is your marker, your threshold, your point of divine intervention. The universe is pulling you out of circulation, not because you've done something wrong, but because you're being prepared for something so right that it cannot coexist with who you've been. Go silent now, not partially, not gradually, completely, immediately, fully. Let heaven do the talking from here. Your only job is to listen, receive, and become. The sacred silence begins now.